So slope point form, part 2. Hopefully you're familiar with slope point form since we just had to use it 5 seconds ago. Might be the back there. Okay. So far we have done the slope y-intercept form and slope and a point. Today's the first time we're going to be given 2 points and finding out our equation. Now, this is, right, the slope is rise over run. Okay, and you know that formula. We've used it enough. It'll be on your formula sheet that you get to use for your unit exams, right? It's not a complicated formula, but it's one that you should know. It's very, very important. You're going to use it in science. Okay, you're going to use it in higher level maths and definitely higher level sciences quite a bit. And in calculus, a big deal is put on slopes. And many of you are calculus bound, so here we have just 2 points now. We've never been given this before. They always give us the slope and a point, okay? Or the slope and the y-intercept, even easier. But as you'll see, it's not that much more difficult. But just to graph it, let's try that. We have A is negative 3, 2. Now remember, negative 3 is the x, 2 is the y, so we're going to meet right there, right? This is negative 3, comma 2. Okay, I still have students that are mixing up the x and the y's. They're having trouble with that. Just make sure this is always the x, the first one, and this is always the y, the second one. Okay? This was our x and our y. And we could even call this x1, y1, and x2, y2. Keep that straight. Move my graph a bit up. Now, the next point, 1, negative 10. Way down there. 1, negative 10. And then we draw our line. Now, it isn't very efficient to have to draw a graph every time to find the y-intercept, and we don't even know truly if negative 7 is the y-intercept. It could be negative 7.1. Okay? So graphing is like when we were first learning them, yeah, let's graph them, let's see what it looks like. But real life, that y-intercept could be negative 7.000438, right? So that you're not going to be able to just look at a graph and establish if it's negative 7.0048. So we've got to learn how to do this using our points. Now, as you see, I have labeled them x1, y1 and x2, y2 because that comes in handy when we're going to do our equation. So we want an equation in general form and slope intercept form. Okay, so let's do that. Now, both of them, we need the slope. Okay, luckily we have a slope formula that says y2 minus y1. So m would equal y2 is negative 10 minus y1 is 2. You see if I labeled my y1 and y2 over, and you don't want to mix these up. If you pick that as y2, you got to use x2 first. 1 minus negative 3. Okay, do you see how important it is to make sure you put your minus signs there and your negative signs there, because that'll give you a different slope. If you drop the one negative sign there, I will get a different slope. Okay, that's where math can be extremely cruel, where you could do 99% of it right and 1% of it wrong, and the entire answer will be wrong. So I got negative 10 minus 2, negative 12. Remember, they're on the same team. They're going to combine bullets. I have 1 minus negative 3. That would be the same thing as 1 plus 3 which is 4. 12 divided by, or negative 12 divided by 4, negative 3. Okay. Now, we have a slope. Do I have a y-intercept? Yes, no, do I? No, I don't. So I'm not going to go to the slope y-intercept form. What is the form I should be using right now? Not general. The slope point form. Okay? Slope point form is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Now, because this is an equation, I'm not going to fill in x or y. I need x and y in my, but I do want to fill in x1 and y1. Now, which point should I use above? First one? How many people would use the first one? How many people would use the second one? Doesn't matter. I can use any point on that line. Okay? Just don't pick this one as your x1 and this one as your y1. Okay? If you're picking x1, y1, pick it from here. Now, see, this one's labeled x1, y1 for my slope. It doesn't mean I have to use it here. Right? I can use x2, y2 here. I mean, I could change that to y2 and x2 if I want. Just make sure you use a coordinate pair. So, why don't we just, for showing that we can use it, let's use the second one, right? I don't want people to think, oh, you always got to use the first one. Okay, you don't always have to use the first one. Okay, so y minus negative 10. So I'm going to write down, I'm going to use 1, negative 10 as my point. Equals m. Well, I conveniently found it. Negative 3x minus 1. So then I would have y plus 10 equals negative 3. I might as well bring this in right now. Negative 3x plus 1. Okay. So I just have one more step to get into y-intercept form. What is that? Subtract 10. Y equals negative 3x. Oops. I didn't even see that. Did you guys not see that? That should be plus 3. How come nobody said anything? There's 30 of you. One of you had to have seen I made a mistake. What are you guys good for if you can't find my mistakes? Okay, so what would I be left with here when I combine these two? Negative 7. This is my, what do we call it? Slope-intercept form, correct? Okay, now what do I need to do to get this to general form? Subtract y to both sides, and I will get 0 equals negative 3x minus 1y minus 7. Yes, okay. But we're not totally done. We need to multiply everybody by negative 1 because this is not allowed. No. Okay? So if I multiply everybody by negative 1, that would be 0 equals 3x plus 1y plus 7. This is your general form. So you're not learning anything new today. We have worked with the slope form before, the formula, right? We have done the y-intercept form, and we have done the general form, and then we've done the slope point form. This is all review, but it's been put together as one question. Okay? So we've got a line passes through negative 3, negative 6, and 3, negative 2. Now we want both general form and slope-intercept form. So this is an identical question to the last one. Just changing the points on us. And we're not going to draw the picture. We're that awesome now. We do not have to draw the picture, okay? But the nice thing about drawing a picture, so -3, -6. -3, -6 would be about there. And 3, -2 would be about there. Why would I draw a picture? It doesn't say I have to draw a picture. Too much time in my hands. I need to get a life. Why would I draw a picture? How would I know that Adrian would pick that one? Yes? Yes. And that number, right? Is that a steep slope? Is it a, right? So it's called math sense. And that's how you establish math sense. It's like when you buy a bunch of stuff, but maybe you're buying like some clothes and you're going to the till. Math sense says I should have a number in my head, what that should be about. Okay? If you don't, they could charge you anything, and they can make a mistake. They could charge you twice as much and be like, yeah, I guess I have a lot of clothes here. Sure, you know, whatever. It's a little bit more than I expected, but here you go, right? Or you have an idea, so you can at least have some perspective. Because, you know, as math teachers, the thing that we hate the most is, but that's what my calculator gave me. Does that make sense? I don't know. That's what my calculator gave me, right? Yeah, like what can you say to that? Yeah, your calculator gave it to you wrong, probably because you put something in wrong, and you have no idea it's wrong because of that math sense that's missing. Okay? So that's why it's a good idea to graph it, because I should be getting a positive slope. I should be getting a negative y-intercept, right? That's another thing that shows me. Okay, so a lot of information by that picture, and it only takes like 10 seconds to draw it. So let's get going. If we need to use any of the forms, we need to find slope. Now I always do this. x1, y1, x2, y2. I do that every single time, or I mix them up. Okay? And you don't want to throw away questions because of missing that little step. Because that really, now I'm just going to read from them. I'm not going to have to try and figure it out in my head. So m equals y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Now that's the same thing as -2 plus 6, right? And this is 3 plus 3. So -2 plus 6 is 4 over 6. Remember, we always want to be reducing our slopes. 2 can go into both of those, so 2/3 is my slope. See, it's positive, and it's not quite 1, that's 0.66, and I can see my slope should be at 45 degrees if it was 1. Okay, so you're going to find that that step is always going to be vital, getting that slope done. Next is the slope point form. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Easy stuff. Okay, you've done it already. Pick any point. This time I'm going to pick the first one. Okay, pick the second one next time. I want you guys to always know that it doesn't matter which one you pick. Can you shut the door behind you, please? Okay, what's y1? -6 equals m is 2/3, x minus x1, -3. Okay, so I'm going to take just time to write that step out instead of doing the combining of signs. So that's y plus 6 equals 2/3 x plus 3. Okay, so now we have to do the all-important, multiply that in, 2/3 x plus, what's 2/3 times 3 over 1? 2, because that would give me 6/3 if I wanted to multiply, but the 3's cancel, that gives me plus 2. Then what I want to do, minus 6 to both sides, y equals 2/3 x minus 4. And does that make sense with the picture? That my y-intercept would be minus 4. Looks reasonable. And then general. What do we do to go to general? Who remembers? This one's doing something different. Not yet. We can, but not yet, yeah? Multiply everybody by 3. Okay, so 3y would equal 2x minus 12, because those 3's would cancel. Then I can subtract. Now you could subtract first, that's fine, but you would find that you get the same answer. So 0 equals 2x minus 3y minus 12. Okay, and let's just write gen form here. Slope int form and slope point form. Okay, B on the next page is an identical question to the last two. I think we're good. What I want to do is look at C, because C looks like they don't give much information, but they give you enough. The x-intercept of 2 and the y-intercept of -5. Okay, I've had students come up and say, Mr. they don't give me a point. They don't give me 2 points. Like, what do I do? I said, they did give you 2 points. No, they don't have little brackets, little comma and stuff like the other ones do. Well, you got to go one more step. What is the point x-intercept 2? You're right. 2, 0. How about y-intercept of -5? 0, -5. Remember, x-intercept when y equals 0. Y-intercept when x equals 0. Okay? Now, because I want to be informed when I do this question, I will graph it quick. 2, 0. 0, -5. Okay? So really, it's 10 seconds to get your bearings, to get an idea. I should be expecting a positive slope. I think it should be greater than 1, because it's greater than 45 degrees. And I should be expecting a negative y-intercept, because they gave it to me. Okay? And when I'm walking around and your picture's drawn wrong in your quiz, I can say, your picture's wrong. That's what's screwing you up. You mixed up your x and your y-intercept, or whatever, right? So M, now again, x1, y1, x2, y2. M is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. -5 minus 0, -5. 0 minus 2, -2. When you have a negative divided by a negative, that is positive 5 over 2. Can't have two signs in a fraction. If you do, combine them. Okay, now this one is so easy to get into slope intercept form. Why? Because I just figured out the slope and they gave me the y-intercept. So what should it be? Y equals 5 over 2x minus 5. Because y equals mx plus b. Okay, what would I do to get this into general form? Okay, so that would give me 2y equals 5x minus 10. Finish it off by subtracting 2y to both sides. And I will get 0 equals 5x minus 2y minus 10. Okay, I gave you guys a worksheet yesterday. That's the one you're working on. Whole thing. Nope, just let me stop recording.